Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. Today we have some I Don't Work Here Lady stories, and our first story of the day is by Eisenhower, PA. This is in 1695. My kids attended a private school in Delaware. As a part of their 5th grade curriculum, they all visit Colonial Williamsburg. They have been doing this for many years. The school is pre-kindergarten to 12th grade, so a lot of families, like ours, have kids in several different grades, and they all talk about the trip to Williamsburg. It's a week they all look forward to, and they all have heard stories from the older kids about their trips. It is also the first extended 4-day overnight trip. Many parents are still reluctant to send their kids off on an overnight trip, so the 5th grade teaching team holds a lottery and selects several parents to go with the kids. The parents keep track of the kids during tours and meals, and they have their child and usually 2 others in their room. It can be pretty competitive to get a parent spot. When my daughter was in 5th grade, I chaperoned, and a few years later, my husband went with my son. Here's the catch: the school totally buys into the idea of an immersive colonial experience. The kids all wear colonial outfits that week. They eat at a tavern and get enlisted in the militia. They even have a colonial dance one night. So some of the girls have more than one outfit. Sometimes parents borrow colonial clothes from families with older children. Sometimes they are bought. A lot of them are made by their parents. They also have a collection of clothes in a colonial closet that kids are able to borrow from. Often parents donate the clothes from their kids after the last one goes. Here's the kicker: parents are also supposed to dress up in colonial outfits. So I made outfits for my daughter and myself. It was way more work than I thought it would be. They turned out great. Obviously, a few years later, when it was my son's turn, he could not wear the dresses. My husband also was chosen to chaperone. No way was I making full colonial outfits for the boys. So we called Opera Delaware and were able to borrow colonial clothes for both my husband and my son. One of the neat things about Colonial Williamsburg is that the historic interpreters that give tours and operate the businesses are in period dress and act as if they're living during the colonial era. One day, the kids were eating lunch in one of the taverns. My husband, who is an attorney, needed to check his email and messages. So while the kids were eating, he ran outside to try and get better phone reception. He was dressed in full-on colonial clothes. An older lady, we can call her Karen, came stomping up to him.
"What are you doing?"
Husband is silent.
"You are supposed to be in character. You shouldn't have that phone out. There were no phones during colonial times."
Husband realizes he's in colonial clothes and the kids weren't anywhere to be found. "Ma'am, I don't work here. I'm just a chaperone." That left Karen very confused. I mean, why would a grown man visit Williamsburg dressed in period clothing?
"Well, still, you shouldn't be out here on a phone. People won't know."
That was the last time my husband chaperoned on a school trip. Would you personally be really into the idea of dressing up in period clothing and kind of having a miniature tour/reenactment type experience somewhere? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by Reckless Fist, The Great Museum Fight. Grab a seat, ladies and gents. I'm gonna tell you the story of how I had 2 museums fighting over me. For a little background, I worked as a teacher's aide at a science center from 13 to 17. It was a fun gig, and I got the kids and adults interested in whatever I was teaching due to the fact that I can be extremely animated when I talk. Right next to our science center was a natural history museum. Ours was free to enter, but that one you had to pay for, unless you were an employee of one of the museums. Anyway, on this particular summer Friday day, I was 16, and this was around the time a new dinosaur hall had just opened up at the Natural History Museum. So while I waited for my older brother to finish up his shift, we both worked there, I figured I'd go to the dinosaur hall and practice some sketching. While there and still in uniform, a woman that had to be in her mid-30s came up to me and asked if I can tell her about a specific skeleton she and her kids were looking at. Still being in work mode and loving to talk about anything prehistoric, I happily agreed. As I got into my mojo, more and more people came up to listen to what I had to say, asking questions and laughing at my horrible dino puns. About 20 minutes later, I had about 40 people following me around the animal exhibits and having a ball. Until that is, my brother texted me it was time to bounce. Bidding the group a farewell, I left to enjoy my weekend, not knowing what was about to happen the following week. Turns out, a lot of people at the Natural History Museum came up to various managers to say how I was an awesome tour guide. So much so, one of the higher-ups had to find out more about me. Once she found out who I was and where I work, she scheduled a meeting with my boss and the CEO of the Science Center. I come in on Tuesday, clock in, and was about to get my day started when I'm called in to see my boss. Walking into her office, I see her, the CEO of the Science Center, and a woman. Wondering what the freak is going on, I ask what's happening here. The woman walks up and shakes my hand and said she was a hiring manager from the Natural History Museum. She was discussing with my boss how much someone like me would be perfect for the Natural History Museum. My boss cut her off to ask me what this was all about. Then it hit me. Last Friday. I then explained to my boss and the CEO what happened on Friday, and they all had a look of clarity on their faces. The manager from the Natural History Museum was eager to get me on board. However, my boss in the calmest, slyest manner said that was never going to happen. The manager looked at her with silent rage and asked why she thought that. My boss said 1, we have a contract with him so we can't just join you, and 2, he's only 16. What I later found out is that the Natural History Museum only hires adults. The manager looked at me with confusion. I look about 3 years older than I am. I think it's the height and mustache. This next part I will never forget. My boss said with a grin that looked like it belonged on the love child of the Grinch and the Cheshire Cat, "Sorry, manager, but this one's ours." The manager left in a huff, clearly upset she lost the fight. After we knew she was gone, the CEO was pissing himself laughing. Through tears and gasps, he told me to try not to do that again. My boss said I might want to stay away from the Natural History Museum for a while. The manager wasn't the type to give up so easily. And that's how I became a sort of legend among the staff of the Science Center. If OP was that good at giving presentations at these museums, you can't fault the manager for laying all the cards out, trying to lay out that red carpet and trying to poach somebody that they felt would do wonders for their museum. This next story is by the Dave GER. Ma'am, I'm a soldier, not a plumber. Background, title say it, I'm a soldier in the German Navy. Our uniform is straight dark blue. Most of the plumbers working in Germany also have blue working cloth. It was in the winter 2019 around December, so I was also wearing my blue navy jacket due to coldness. After 2 weeks spending on the sea, I was glad to head home by train. I didn't change my uniform to civil cloth because, as German soldiers, you can use the train for free if you wear your uniform. At a station, I had to wait about an hour for the next train to arrive, so I thought I'd use the bathroom. Oh God, if I had known. Karen says, "The bathroom is flooded, you have to fix it." I say, "Excuse me, ma'am?" She says, "Fix it." I say, I think you've mistaken me. I'm not working here." "Yes, you do. You have working cloth on, so go and fix it, otherwise I report you." "Ma'am, I'm a soldier, not a plumber. Look at my jacket, there it stands." I point to my jacket where stands German Navy. She starts to rage. "You freaking lazy piece of crap, go and do your work. I pay taxes for your money." I say, "That's right, but you've mistaken me." I pull out my military ID. "This is my military ID. Look, I'm a soldier." She cursed at me really good. Like, I didn't know women were able to do that, to be honest. At this point, a station employee catched the attention. The employee says, "Is there a problem?" Karen says, "Yes, the bathroom is flooded and he," she grabs me by the jacket, "refuses to do his work he's supposed to do." I say, "Ma'am, I'm afraid to say it again, but I'm not a plumber. Soldier for the German Navy. This is what I am. And don't ever touch me again." I get rid of her grab. The employee says, "Yeah, it's a uniform from the Navy." Suddenly, she started to scream and throw herself to the ground. "Abuse, he slapped me in the face." She still screamed and the police caught attention. Police 1 says, "Ma'am, what happened?" "He slapped me in the face." The employee says it's not true, he didn't.
Yes, he did. You're covering your coworker, you liar.
Employee says I'm not his coworker, and I say I really didn't. She grabbed my jacket and I just pulled her hand off, then she started screaming. At this point, she discussed with the police officer, and I showed my ID to the other officer. Police 1 says, "Ma'am, he's right, he's not a plumber, he's a soldier. And also our offices have evidence that he didn't slap you, it's all on camera. I think we should have a closer talk in the office." Police 2 says, "Sorry sir for all that trouble, have a safe travel." I say thank you. The police took her to the office and I've never heard from her again, gladly. The employee and I just laugh our butts off. He got me a coffee and we chatted a bit till I jumped on my train. Oh boy, what a Karen. If there's ever any time that it would be the most inopportune moment for somebody who just can't back down when they're wrong, it would probably be when you accuse somebody of not doing their plumbing job when in reality, they're a soldier for the Navy. The mental gymnastics must have been crazy for that Karen in that moment. Can't admit you're wrong with that level of mess up. And our final story of the day is by Elemenope. Go ahead and complain. They can't fire me. This happened yesterday at a large box store known for their cheap prices and interesting people who shop there. A bit of background, I recently was outside in the cold too long and had hypothermia with other issues, and still have very large 3rd-degree frost burns on both of my feet. I have a hard time walking and it's quite painful, so I was using a scooter that the store provides for customers. Another important thing to note is that even though I live in a cold weather state, I rarely wear a coat, so I didn't have a coat on or in my cart. I'm driving the scooter through the store while my girlfriend is walking next to or behind me, depending on how many people are around us. We're just shopping, looking at things, pointing things out to each other, as people normally do. We are about a third of the way back into the store from the entrance. The doors are slightly visible, but we're not right inside the entrance. A woman walks into the aisle we are currently looking for something in and approaches me. I quickly try to move over to the side, thinking she's going to ask me to move, but instead she looks right at me and says, "I need that scooter." I'm a little bit flustered since I wasn't expecting that at all, and I'm not sure what to say, and I say, "Excuse me?" while I try to figure out what's going on. She responds that the scooters are for customers who need them and not for you to play around on. Now I'm getting irritated because who is she to say whether or not I'm entitled to use a scooter? My girlfriend steps forward and says, "Ma'am, she needs the scooter. If they didn't have any more at the entrance, you can ask the greeter to check the other entrance." Which of course sets off this Karen. Karen goes into full-blown "the customer is never wrong" mode. She starts demanding that I get off the scooter immediately as she wants it right now, and I'm not supposed to be using it. Somewhere in her rant, she says that employees aren't allowed to play on the scooters. And then it clicks that she thinks I work there, despite the fact that I'm not wearing anything blue and am obviously shopping. I try to tell her that I don't work there, but she's too far into her rage to comprehend anything. She now has her hands on the front of the scooter and is demanding to see my employee ID. I back up the scooter to try to get a bit away from her and tell her again that I don't work there. My girlfriend has gone to find an actual employee. Karen notices that my girlfriend is gone and demands to know where she went, obviously thinking she's an employee too. I tell her again that she needs to stop, I don't work there, and I'm not giving her the scooter. I've had about enough of her, and I'm now contemplating running her over with it. My girlfriend finally returns with a store employee. They ask what the problem is, and Karen starts with, "This girl," when I completely interrupt her to say loudly that I was trying to shop when this woman started harassing me and demanding the scooter I was using. Karen's mouth starts flapping in the breeze as she can't believe how incredibly rude I'm being. She turns to the store employee and asks why I'm being allowed to use a scooter. Store employee tells her that the scooters are for all customers, and as long as I'm not causing issues, they have no reason to ask me not to. Karen hears only the part she wants to and says, "She is causing a problem." Store employee asks what the problem is, and Karen replies with, "She won't give me the scooter." I look at the store employee and ask, "Do you know me?" Store employee looks confused and says no. I ask, do I work here? Store employee is now figuring out where this is going and says no. I say, so I'm just a customer here shopping? And store employee confirms this. Karen stares in disbelief, then accuses the store employee of covering for me so I don't get into trouble. She now wants to see store employee's ID badge and wants a manager, claiming she's going to get both of us fired. I shouted Karen a little louder than I should have, but I'd had enough of her, that I'm not an employee and she shouldn't be harassing the actual employees either. I might have called her crazy. During this, my girlfriend went to customer service for more backup because we weren't going to leave this poor employee to deal with the Karen by himself. She comes back with a floor manager or something similar, right as I'm done telling Karen to stop harassing employees. The manager has already been filled in on the entire situation and apologizes to me and says she will take care of the situation. Do I need anything else? I politely tell her no and thank her for dealing with the situation. As we leave the aisle, we can hear Karen screaming that I need to be fired, while the manager tries to explain that she can't harass customers. I don't think she ever got it that I didn't work there. Like I said earlier, I love the mental gymnastics these people can play to somehow justify that yes, this person on a cart, not in uniform at all, and not having done anything remotely employee-like, must be an employee here at this Walmart, and anybody who disagrees is just trying to cover the conspiracy up. It's kinda wacko, ain't it? But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today, so if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, and if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.